Hey guys, this is notes 2-7. 2-6, there is a homework assignment, but there are no notes for that section. So for 2-7, we're going to work on multi-step equations. So here's what you're going to have to do. First thing is use a distributive property to get rid of parentheses. So I'll go over how to do that first. You'll still want to do your weight bar. Can look over here on this side and see, well, there's no distributive anything to do, so I don't need to do that over here. But look over here, there is some distributive property. I can see that this -8 is looking to be distributed to those two terms inside the parentheses. Because there wasn't anything to distribute on this side, I'm just going to take all of that and write it again here underneath. And then I'm going to go ahead and distribute this -8. So -8 times 6 is -48. -8 times 5x would be -40x. Okay, so I did that first step. The second step says combine any like terms on each side. Look at this side over here. I do have some like terms, this 10x and -7x, because they both have an x, they are like terms. So 10x minus 7x is going to be 3x. And I still have that constant -5 right there, so I'm going to bring that down. Equals -48 minus 40x. All right, then, sorry about that. Had one of my helpers come tell me something. Then we're going to do this next step, which is move all variable terms to one side. And like I said in the previous lesson, it doesn't matter which side you move your x's to. Some people prefer the left, some people prefer the right. Like I said before, most beginning algebra students like their x's to all be over here on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and move this x over here. And to do that, to get rid of this -40x, I would add 40x. So I'm going to do that on both sides. 3x plus 40x is 43x minus 5 equals -48. So now all my variables are on one side. The next thing I need to do is undo the addition or subtraction on the variable side. So now we're kind of getting down to the easy part. So here's my subtraction on the variable side. Here's my variable. So to undo that -5, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. I need to extend my weight bar a little lower. So I will get 43x equals -48 plus 5 is -43. And then my last step right here says to undo the multiplication or division on the variable side. So I've got multiplication. So to undo that, I divide by 43. And I would get x equals -1. And as we've done before in the past, you can check your answer. So anytime you see an x, you just replace it with a -1. So I'm going to do that here, and I'll show you what it looks like to check your answer. So I'll put a -1 right there. So in my calculator, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put 10 times -1 minus 5 minus 7 times -1. So on the left side, I get that the equation, oh good grief, it was off and I didn't even realize it. Try again. 10 times -1 minus 5 minus 7 times -1. So I get that that side of the equation is equal to -8. I'm going to write it up here so I don't forget. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, and you can type your parentheses in. That should be helpful. So I'm going to do -8, open parentheses, 6 plus 5 times -1, and then close parentheses. So I get that that one is also equal to -8. So because I get the same thing on both sides of the equation, that means that this is the correct answer, that x does equal -1. Another thing that we're going to look at here is all real numbers and no solution. So I'm going to get me a different color highlighter. I think the only color I haven't used yet is pink. So I'll put that up here at the top. And sometimes you'll find that for equations, sometimes they have no solution. Sometimes you cannot solve them. And sometimes it doesn't matter what number you use for x, there will always be a solution. So let's look at no solution first. I'll show you what that looks like. You're still going to follow your steps. On this example, there's nothing to distribute. I do have some like terms here. So I have negative 8x and 9x on this side is going to be x. So I just combine those two to get x. And then I drop down my plus 6 equals negative 17 plus x. Step 2 says the next thing you're supposed to do is to put your x's on the same side. So let's say subtract x here to move it over to the left. Look what's going to happen. That x cancels out and so does that one. So it's like your variables are totally gone. And all you're left with is 6 equals negative 17, which is not even a true statement. 6 does not equal negative 17. In that case, when that happens, that's when you're going to say no solution, which means that there is no value for x that you could substitute in here and make that a true statement. So occasionally, not always, not often, you will find that an equation has no solution. And the next one we're going to look at is all real numbers. So you still need your weight bar. I'm going to follow my steps. There's nothing to distribute. Combine like terms. On this side I have an x and a negative 6x. Those are like terms, so that would combine to negative 5x. I bring down the 4 equals. Over here I have like terms 6 and negative 2 are positive 4. And I still have that negative 5x. The next step would be to move all my x's to one side, so I'm going to scoot this positive 5x over here. So plus 5x and plus 5x. So once again, that cancels out, and I'm left with 4 equals 4. So my variable totally canceled out again, which, like I said, that does not happen very often. In this case, it did happen. The difference between these two is that this one was a false statement. However, 4 does equal 4. That's a true statement. So when that happens, it means that the solution is all real numbers, and we represent that with a symbol that looks like you put 2 lines and then make an R. That means all real numbers. And what that's saying is that it doesn't matter what number you pick for x, any number will work. 2, negative 7, 275. All numbers that you plug in for x will make it work on both sides. So no matter what you plug in here, you'll get a true statement. And the assignment for this is going to be back here. On page 14 in our journals.